and let the flames begin. Poblanos, check. Tomatillos, check. Parsley, check. Garlic, check. Serranos, check. Tomatoes, check. Red onions, check. Country ribs, check. First thing we do is season with salt our country style ribs on all sides and let that rest for just a few minutes. Next, we monitor and manage the fire, and we get it to the point where you can start putting the vegetables on to both obtain and absorb smoke as well as get a char on them. So it's continuous maintenance to do this so that you get the proper smoke and proper char on the vegetables. As you can see here, we move the logs around to get the vegetables directly on and in the fire so that we char them up nicely. You have to keep rotating them so that they don't scorch too much, which is really actually kind of hard to do. As you can see, the fire is cranking, but it does take quite a while for these vegetables to take on that char and become tender. The red onions probably take the longest because obviously they're just big. There's not as much surface area, so it takes a while for the heat and the flames to char the onion, soften it up, and give it a good flavor underneath the peel. As you see, we add the poblanos, and we keep rotating them as well to get a nice char on them. It's very similar to taking a pepper or an onion and charring it over a gas flame on your cooktop. So we got a good char on that side. We're gonna keep flipping them around until we get the char that we want. Again, it's almost hard to overchar them, but you keep monitoring them until you get the char you want. Then we take our garlic, and instead of placing that directly on the flame, we put it in the hot coals so that they roast down there a little bit slower, and we can manage that a little bit easier so that the outer part of the garlic doesn't catch on fire. Again, you see we have a cranking fire here, and we're just monitoring it. We keep rotating things, but there's a lot of heat and a lot of flame there. And again, it takes a lot longer than you'd think to get things where you want based upon the intensity of that fire. Once we see the poblanos to our liking, we then remove them from the heat, and then we continue again to rotate the onions. And I'd say the onions probably took a good 15-20 minutes till we pulled them off. At this point, we take our tomatillos, we find some room in the fire to put the tomatillos and get them charred up nicely. And again, we just keep rotating them, get a nice char on the outside, similar to what you did on the poblanos. So the garlic is just about done. We're gonna put it on top to get some final flame on that. And then we're gonna remove the garlic. And as you see, we got the tomatoes where we want them. They get nice and soft. Once they get nice and soft and char on the outside, we remove them as well. And there's our tomatillas starting to come off. And since we have more tomatillos, the next step here is to take the rest of them and put them on the heat as well. And once the vegetables are all roasted, we then take them off and we peel off the charred skin. If there is some char underneath that outer layer, we keep that because that is flavor. And if you have trouble getting some of that char off and you want more of it off, a nice bowl of cold water does the trick to get any remaining charred skin off of the vegetables. Next, we take the country ribs, and you see we've got a blistering fire. And we just start placing the country ribs right on top of the wood. And as you see, we had one slip through the cracks there, no big deal. We take it, pull it out from the embers below and set it right back on top. That's the one advantage of using real hardwood, is the char on the outside is easy to get off by either just banging it off or by just removing it with a paper towel. So we just put that charred piece of pork that fell down into the hot coals back on the fire. And as you see, we have a new log there. We got the fire going. We've got some smoke coming up from the wood to penetrate some of that smoke flavor inside of our pork. And we just keep that going probably, I don't know, about 3 or 4 minutes on each side. It's just gonna char the outside, add a really good smoke flavor. It doesn't take long for that wood flavor to penetrate into that pork, but you see the pork is completely raw. And then we just continue with the rest of the pork that we have until we get it to our liking. And then we remove the pork, and then we go to the next step, and that is getting the pork seared in our pot and getting our salsa made. So now we take the roasted vegetables, we take the poblanos and remove the stem, and then we take out some of the seeds. If seeds remain in the poblano, no big deal. It's not a spicy pepper, but we do like to remove the seeds as much as we can. But as you see, we're not being too particular about that at all. And then we just cut the vegetables up into kind of bite-sized portions and place them in a bowl. And the next thing we're going to do is take those vegetables and put them all in a blender and make an incredibly flavorful, roasted, smoky green salsa. That would go good on anything. So again, we continue with the rest of the vegetables here real quick and make sure we've got everything cut up and ready for the blender. As you can see, the tomatoes there are just perfect consistency. They're not too mushy, they're not too hard, and the onion as well is looking really good. Soft on the outside, a little more firm on the inside. Still want some of that onion bite in there, as well as the sweetness of the onion. And then we take a bunch of parsley, and we take that and throw that in for some fresh flavor and some bright green color. Now, as you can see, we're wiping the ribs off because those are some of the ribs that fell into the coals and the ash comes right off. If you tried to do that with briquettes that are not true hardwood, you will get ash on there and it will be almost impossible to get off, and it will actually taste ashy and not smoky. So we continue doing that with the rest of the pork until it's all chopped up. Again, we wipe that one down because it had some ash on it. And there we go, ready for the pot. Hot oil in our pot and a nice sear to add yet another level of flavor. So we got the char, we got the smoke, and now we're getting the caramelization on our pork. So once we get all the pork in, we let that go. And as it's caramelizing, we go over and we make our salsa from all of our roasted vegetables. We have extra virgin olive oil we're going to add in with our roasted vegetables. And then we also have a pomegranate vinegar. You can add any vinegar you want: balsamic vinegar, red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar, a champagne vinegar, anything you want that will go well with roasted vegetables. We blend it up, and then look at that consistency of the salsa. That is just beautiful. And that salsa can be eaten as a sauce on top of any meat as is. But what we're doing is we are adding it to the pork, and we are stewing it down with all of our yummy, luscious pork. And here's the final product, and I'll tell you what, it is a flavor bomb. You probably literally never had something so good before that is so complex yet simple. Here we are doing a taste test. Enjoy, and thanks for watching. All right, taste test. Here we go. Wow, it smells like a vegetable garden that was stuck in the fireplace. That's really what it smells like. Here we go. Let's see. No way. No way. It can't be real. Oh my gosh, that's so different, so fulfilling, so rich, but not rich, like not in a bad way. It literally covers every nook and cranny in your mouth, and then that residual smell, taste, flavor comes up the back of your nostrils, that's the key. Reminds me of a gumbo. It's insanely good. Again, we just made this recipe up. I watched little Andrew Zimmern this morning, got some inspiration, found some country ribs, and my wife wanted something on a nice cold winter night. This is outstanding, like outstanding. Like never had anything like this before, ever. So, a little sauce. Unbelievable. Wow. All right, well, thanks for joining. Got Smokehouse Barbecue. Can't wait for the next video because we keep them rolling. So thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Hope you're not afraid to cook in your fireplace because it is really a fun thing to do.